Now, drugs, this is a bit technical, so bear with me. Drugs are acids or bases. Okay? So an acid breaks down, basically strips out the outer electron layer of substances. Bases do kind of the opposite. There's a very simplified instruction, but understand blood is like seawater, so it's basic. Okay? But your GI tract is acid. Okay? So blood, you want things to be transported the way they are, the way they're broken down. GI tract, you want things broken down. So, barbituric acid, okay, you take it orally. You don't shoot it. Okay? Cocaine hydrochloride, the hydrochloride is a base. You snort it, blood-rich environment, or you inject it. Same with heroin. So here's the idea then. People, as part of their addictive behavior, will do things besides sticking, Jack Daniels up their ass. They will crush pills which were designed to eat and either smoke them or inject them. Now, when people were doing this with oxys, and Oxycontin is essentially just, pharmaceutical grade heroin. The drug company reformulated so that if you did try to break it up, it would gel up and you couldn't, break it down. You couldn't, inject or snort it. You could just take it orally. But, people will do that kind of stuff anyway. Smoke pills. Okay, that's an addictive behavior, besides the fact that you're taking it outside of, your prescription. All right? So one of the challenges that we find with, smoking a pharmaceutical or other things that weren't designed to be smoked is that you run into other problems. So another thing with smoking is this. Smoking a powdered drug like heroin or meth is exactly like shooting it. Okay? It's just as addictive. Now we did, what I usually say in terms of, we have, somebody asked me today at the health fair, down in the cafeteria. So they were saying, so have you been seeing more meth? Well, we're like 3 weeks into the term. So here's what usually happens with drug cycles. Is that, let's say this is heroin. Heroin peaks, drops, and in that drop, you'll have meth use. Oops. You'll have meth use going up when heroin goes down. I kind of wish we'd actually have underground economy a stock market. So I could know that, okay, meth is up this week, this is the spot price, et cetera, but because it acts exactly like the above ground economy. Right? But you can't predict what the production is going to be or what the futures are going to be. So as an example, I see your question. As an example, I'm old enough to remember when there actually was street opium from Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. And you could get opium on the street. And opium's actually fairly easy to make. You just need poppies. All right? Because it's just poppy sap, basically. All right? But our students didn't know that. So during one of our heroin epidemics, and usually what happens up here at Lane is because you have to qualify for financial aid. You can't necessarily be on the street. You can be homeless, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have people that will use financial aid, and I'm not just talking about homeless, I'm talking about any student. There are people that will use financial aid as a form of both welfare or unemployment insurance and use their entire check to buy dope or sell dope or whatever. We had heroin epidemics up here because our students will actually believe the dealers when they were saying, oh, we're selling you opium, and it was actually black tar heroin. which is like, right, we've done such a great job of scaring people away from needles, ooh, junkies, needles, that they thought that smoking was not as addictive. And they were coming into the health center, 2 days into a heroin detox. And here's one of the little loopholes in the system. If you're under 21, you can't go to Buckley House. The nearest detox for you is in Portland, Hooper. So right, I'm gonna send one of my students that's 18 with the shakes to Hooper Detox in Portland? Really? No, right? Also, people think that smoking, speed is better for you than shooting it. No, it's just as addictive, and the come down's worse. More psychosis than when you're doing a run. Your question?
So when meth goes down and heroin goes up, is it the drug users just using one drug than the other? So like
Yeah, we have seen that pattern
okay.
Before with the people that study it. But this is America, so basically money will buy you anything, and there are niche markets for everything, and there are people that will do both. Belushi died of a speedball, right? So that's a combination of heroin and cocaine. So the heroin cuts the edge off the cocaine cuts the down of the heroin. But cocaine's short acting, so people will do what one of the street terms is the old street term is a parachute. So you do heroin and meth. Okay? The heroin cuts the edge off the speed cuts the down of the heroin, it lasts longer, so you kind of float down theoretically.
Wow.
So what's the purpose of that if you're taking something that makes you high and low at the same time?
Well, what you're trying to achieve is a state of being. Okay? The idea is, all right, so for example, a low-level example, all right? As a jazz musician, before I was a drug counselor, and I'm jamming, we're just jamming, we didn't get stoned before rehearsal, didn't get stoned before gigs, but if we're just jamming, then a double espresso mocha with a bowl of high-grade sensimilla, okay? So, pot.
Oh, okay.
Okay? All right? So the idea is, no, it's fine. Okay, a bowl of bud, smoke a bowl, with double dose of caffeine, heavy on the chocolate. The chocolate reinforces the anandamide in the pot. Okay? The caffeine cuts the down of the pot. The pot takes the edge off the caffeine. So the brain state that you get is you like what you play, whether it's shit or not.
Okay.
But you get the free association that is also a side effect of the drug. Because the drug, pot, is inducing an alpha state. An alpha state is associated with basically free association and relaxation.
See, because I never understood that, because I'm like, why take something that makes you high and then take something that makes you low at the same time? Because doesn't that like even out to normal?
No. No.
Oh, okay.
Puts you at a different state.
I get it.
But you've got tolerance going with all of them.
Tolerance.
Yes.
Oh, like
You're getting
personal
used to
tolerance.
you're developing tolerance for each of the drugs separately.
Gotcha.
Right? So
At a different rate?
yeah. At a different rate. That's specific to the drug and your body. Yeah.
So basically what she was saying, that's just referring to chapter 4 where it talks about you're basically substituting the drug for a feeling you don't have in your life. So
Correct.
you need that feeling.
Yes, it can be that, if that's what it is for you. Okay? You might be seeking a particular state. So, as I was saying, well, you weren't there at the health fair, but I was saying, look, people wanted to relax, okay? Or people didn't want to be depressed. Look, 2.5 minutes of deep breathing increases serotonin in your brain. Just doing that, okay? So that elevates your serotonin just like Prozac would, without the Prozac. But we don't teach people to do that. All right, what if I said, okay, you want to be up? 3 minutes of breath of fire, right nostril breathing. Okay, you're beginners. 1 minute.
So just breathe into your nose?
Breath of fire.
Oh.
Yeah. That produces a change of consciousness. Doing that. Or, an hour yoga set. But how many people want to do an hour yoga set? No, I'll just have a double espresso mocha. That's quicker, right? Than doing yoga, right? And who's taught us to do that? Who profits from your habits? So, that's part of the thing. People understanding, you're trying to replace a feeling that you don't have, or you're trying to induce a feeling because you haven't been taught the skills to do it. Either way. Or you're trying to dull a feeling. Because that's the purpose of an addiction, right? To obscure a positive or negative emotional process. It works either way. Let's see if the machines are still talking to each other. Okay. All right. So it's pretty much everything I just put on there. All right. So, for example, all alcohol problems come from overdosing. All right? And it's not so much that people haven't been taught. Maybe you've heard that alcohol is a drug before you got in this class. But you weren't necessarily told, okay, well, there's a safe and effective, assuming you meet the criteria, dosage for alcohol. 0.02. Now, 0.02 for a lot of people is like half a beer. But you've been conditioned to be good consumers. You got to eat all the bags of potatoes. You can't eat just one Lay's potato chip, right? Who's going to eat half a bag of potato chips? Who's going to drink half a beer? Right? Yeah.
So, like, if you see someone at a party who's, like, pretty drunk and they start getting violent, are
Yes.
they overdosing?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? Because they're overdosing essentially because, one, they've gone probably past legally drunk, right? Which means that's the point for many people, assuming that there's no brain damage, that blackouts happen. So they're no longer remembering what's going on in real time. And if they've gone past that, because we'll see this because we'll come back to that progressive intoxication piece, they get combative because the controls that would keep them from becoming combative, which require memory, which require I don't want to get into a fight, they forget all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if they're not feeling any pain,
Who cares?
who cares? Right. So all alcohol-related diseases come from habitually overdosing, binge drinking. So, to an addictions counselor. So you hear people talk about moderate drinking. Drink in moderation. Drink responsibly. Okay, right. Here's what that means. You already have the definition of binge drinking. 1 dose a day for women if not pregnant. And not on top of your meds, if you have meds. That's moderate drinking. 1 dose a day.
That's a lot of money. A day, every day?
No, well, then they also say, so this is from the AMA, right? 2 doses a day for men. And again, if not on medications, which are potentiated by alcohol, so for example, other sedative hypnotics, benzodiazepines, or narcotic opiates, and then not doing that for more than 3 to 4 days in a row. But that's an extreme, I'd say. So moderation, when I say drink in moderation, okay, yeah, 1 or 2 a day. But how many people limit themselves to that, for reals? Yeah.
So, like, for example, I know someone who has addiction problems, but they're lightweight, like extreme lightweight. Does that mean that they don't have a lot of people in their family who had drug and alcohol problems? Or, I mean, how does someone do them every single day for so many years and still be so sensitive to them?
What do you mean by lightweight? Describe
like,
the behavior. if you
Okay,
could.
like, if this person drinks like one beer or 2 beers, they're
Okay.
like drunk. Or if they
Okay.
they have a habit of taking pills, is their biggest problem.
Okay.
If he takes like
What pills?
a Vicodin, a Percocet, anything, he takes them all. But
Okay.
if he takes them, I mean, if he takes like, let's say 1 Vicodin, that like maybe a normal person wouldn't really feel that much of an effect from, he's like, you know, and he takes them every single day. So I don't understand how how they affect him so highly. I mean, I come from a family who has a lot of addiction alcohol problems, so if I drink a beer, I mean, it does nothing to me. And no matter what my weight is, when I was 110 pounds soaking wet, I could drink several beers and not really feel anything really.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't understand how does that happen? Because I would think that the more you use the drug, in most cases you build up a tolerance.
Yes.
But what causes someone, are they not eating maybe? Or, I mean, are there other factors that they're purposely doing to make it affect them more? I mean,
The generic reason that drug counselors give, and it may sound like bullshit, but it actually is scientific, individual variability. Okay, so the things that I'm telling you, okay, they're generic for everybody, but some people are, you know, for a lack of a better term, this is about consciousness and changing your consciousness. So some people are more sensitive in some directions and to some substances than others.
I do, okay. Okay,
I hate cucumbers, but I love habaneros.
okay. You're right, because he had spoke about in the past when he used to smoke pot.
Yeah.
He could smoke a lot of pot all day
Right.
long. So that makes more sense now. He
Right.
has sensitivity to other things.
Right.
And that's probably why he uses them, because it's so cheap to get high every single day.
Yeah, well, you know, and then again, just like the market comparison I was talking about, you know, we were, you know, it's always concerning when heroin is cheaper than pot and more available, because that has happened here too. Yeah.
Really?
I
Yeah.
was seeing a family counselor for a while because I have like addiction in my family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger, I used to party a lot. I'm 25 now and I don't really drink nearly as much. But I was telling her I would have 2 glasses and I would feel like I would waste it.
Yes.
And she told me that like there's levels of alcoholism, and then once you get past like the 4th level and you've blacked out and you've done all of it, it's almost like your tolerance reverses, and then if you have 2, it's too much.
Okay, here's how reverse tolerance works, and I think I may have a slide for this, but I'll just tell you since you asked the question.
Okay.
Okay, so all drugs get filtered through the liver. Alcohol is one of the most toxic substances you can take in. So for example, if you take a 20-year junkie who's been a heroin addict for 20 years, and an alcoholic who's been an alcoholic for 20 years, binge drinking every day for 20 years, the junkie looks better. Okay? Because heroin's relatively non-toxic. As long as, you know, you're getting, you know, the same dealer, relatively pure stuff, top of the cut, et cetera, and it's relatively clean. Most of your problems from street drugs are basically impurities. Alcohol, the first breakdown product of alcohol is more toxic than the alcohol. Okay, so the liver makes a enzyme that breaks down alcohol called alcohol dehydrogenase, which does exactly what its name implies. It breaks off a hydrogen group from alcohol and keeps doing that. So the first breakdown product of alcohol is more toxic than the alcohol. It's called acetaldehyde, which is like a hydrogen group away from being formaldehyde. So if you remember your high school biology and the frog, you know, you're literally pickling your liver. Okay, that's why, you know, cirrhosis basically comes from liver damage from, among other things, alcohol consumption, where this stuff is basically pickling your liver until it breaks it down, and basically it's damaged. So there's certain drugs that, for example, for alcohol treatment, like antabuse. So antabuse stops the breakdown of alcohol at acetaldehyde, and you theoretically get sick if you fall within the bell curve of how the drug works.